Well, good acoustics in an open plan school. Well, I'm going to discuss it and illustrate it with a project in which we were involved in the design team some years ago. And the school is called the Werkplaats Kindergemeenschap. I'm sorry that's in Dutch, but when you translate it in English, it's something about the working place. And it's a school where people work together. So the pupils and the teachers work together in the school. And it's a school for primary and secondary education in a little town called Bilthoven. It's close to the city of Utrecht in the center of the Netherlands. And the school is originated in 1926 by a Dutch pedagogue, Kees Boeke, and he had some really idealistic ideas about education. And nowadays, not all his ideas are relevant anymore, but the school has an own philosophy, and the current core values are cooperation, equality, commitment, and sustainability. And as the director of the school said, this is not a concept, but it's a culture. And in this culture, the pupils are called workers and the teachers are called employees, so they work together. Education is not given in classes or the traditional way, but in teams and domains. And finally, it's an open plan school, and um, there are not so many open plan schools in the Netherlands, so it is special. Well, we were involved in the design team for the new primary school, and it's a new open plan school for a lot of pupils in the age of 4 till 12 years of age, and a lot of staff members. And the only demand from the school team was that the acoustic comfort just has to be good. So that's a nice starting point for a designer. There were no performance standards and no requirements for the design team. So the only thing is, how can we make the acoustics good that it supports the teaching and the learning in the school? And why was it the good acoustics, the acoustic comfort, so important for the school? Well, they had some very bad experiences with the Department of Secondary Educations in which the acoustics was very bad. Well, the starting point for the design team was to understand the educational philosophy of the school and how can we incorporate it in the design. And in fact, it's an activity-based way of learning in the school. So, this is the plan of the school, and together with the architect, we we composed, in fact, the setting of rooms. And as you can see, it's are in fact typical classrooms, but without walls. The dotted lines are the walls which aren't here. And there are some closed boxes. We put some closed boxes in the center of the school with, as you can see. And there are some areas in which instruction is given. And as you can see at the yellow dots, areas for the toilets and pantries, those are in the closed boxes. Some little offices for meetings for the teachers. A room for services, so the heating installation is over there. And a big circulation area which goes through the whole building. When we look at one of the domains, the yellow dot, then there are some interactions in the domain. The teacher talks to the pupils, and there is a relationship with the surrounding domains, so the neighbors, and what is happening at the box and in the circulation area. So there are a lot of relationships in an open plan school. The same in the circulation area. Also, there's a relationship in the circulation area and a lot of interaction with the other places in the school. But how to achieve good acoustics in this type of school? And we think that good acoustics needs good speech intelligibility on short distances. Otherwise, you can't give proper instructions. And you need a high speech privacy between domains, between the groups, the working groups, in terms of distraction and privacy which is needed. And finally, it's important to control the background noise, otherwise the room becomes too loud. And what can you translate it in acoustic parameters? Well, then it should be something like the acoustic challenges should be that the sound decay between domains should be about 20 dBA or something. And we need a pretty high overall background noise level of 55 dBA to create enough speech privacy. And those two together can create the same acoustic comfort as a wall with a sound insulation of 40 dB. And of course the STI or the speech intelligibility has to be very high in the young domain and very low in two other domains or in the circulation or to the circulation area. Well, how it's incorporated in the design. Of course, we started with a lot of sound absorbing ceilings and wall coverings to create enough sound absorption. And we put in a lot of semi-open partitions between the groups, such as cupboards or coat racks or something like that, to well, make a bit of closed areas. Furthermore, the challenge was to minimize direct sightlines. So as you saw in the plan, there are no direct sightlines between the domains or between the circulation area and the domains. Avoiding reflections is also a thing we introduced. Well, you need some reflections in the domain, which you can use for the speech transmission, but between the domains you don't need those reflections. And as mentioned before, a lot of diversity is needed. So a lot of types of workstations are introduced, such as focus areas, concentration workplaces, cubicle areas, and well, some typical call center workstations. I'll show you later. And at last, you need a constant high occupancy. Well, it is realized, the school, and some of you have visited already, but the teachers and the school direction is very enthusiastic of the acoustic comfort and the way the people are working. As an acoustician, it's nice to know or to measure how good is the acoustics, how good is the acoustic comfort. So we did some measurements along typical paths from a domain to the other areas and from circulation areas to domains. And the parameters in which we are we like to know is the background noise during activities, and what is the speech intelligibility in the domain and between the domains, or the clarity, what is the reverberation time in T30 or the early decay time. And furthermore, we are very interested in the spatial decay of sound pressure level, and we measured it by delta G. So when we look at the results of the reverberation time, we see that on average it's about 0.57 seconds. And for such a big room, that is pretty short. But what we see is that the reverberation time at 125 Hertz is pretty long. It's about 0.8, 0.9 seconds. And that's not what you are experiencing when you're in the school. So it doesn't feel that the reverberation is longer at low frequencies. We also measured the background noise level on a Wednesday afternoon during periods of 5 minutes on average, during 1 hour on several positions in the school. And as you can see, the average of all the measurements is 65 dBA, so that's pretty high. And the lowest average that we measured during 5 minutes was 55 dBA. And the highest was 71. But the 71 level was when all the children were running through the school and going in and out. So that's not the usual way of learning. We also measured the STI, and for this from this domain. Um, the red star is the sound source which we used, and we did an average in the SCI in over some places. And as you can see, the SCI values are very high. And this is a natural SCI, so without background noise and a high sound source level. So very good results for the SCI. Good and excellent speech transmission in the own domain and to the other domains. We also put in the graph or in the figure the decay of sound pressure level, and as you can see, in its own domain, it's about -6 or a decrease of 6 till 10 dBA, and to the surrounding domains, it's about 20 dB till 30 dB decrease. But what's happening when we put in the noise? So we introduced a background noise of 65 dBA, which we measured, and a speech level at 1 meter of 60 dBA. So that's a normal talker in the room. And then we saw some strange things. Close to the speaker, the STI is about 0.4, so that's not so good. And in the surrounding areas, the STI is worse. It's less than 0.3, so that's what you want. But in the domain, the speech transmission is very, very bad. And that's not what you experience in the room. So we shifted a little bit with the background noise. We introduced a background noise of 55 dBA, so that was the lowest background noise level that we measured. And we raised the speech level to 72 dBA. Well, that's pretty hard, so the teacher is screaming. And then we found the results which he also experienced in the room or in the open plan school. Close to the sound source on a distance of about 5 meters, the STI is very good. And further away, the STI is very low. So between the domains, you got very good speech privacy, and in this domain, there's a very good speech intelligibility. So instructions can be heard very good. Well, I go a little bit faster through these slides, but we did the same measurements from an instruction area or the circulation area to the domains, and we saw the same. Well, the conclusions are, in fact, that, in my opinion, that good acoustics can be made by building facilities, but behavior and awareness of acoustics is also needed to create better acoustics. And in this school, there are some rules, as you can see on the picture, and the rules are for the children and the teachers. So it's a sort of user manual. How do we have to work in an open landscape? It's never quiet in this school, but that's also intended. So you need a pretty high background noise level to create speech privacy. As we saw, conversation and instruction is easy to perform at a close range, at a close distance to the sound source. So the teachers give instructions on a short distance to the pupils. A greater distance, there's good speech privacy. We saw that from the measurements in the on the SCI, and it's also what we experienced. Despite the occupancy of 300 pupils in one room, the loudness is still limited. Well, not when everybody is running through the circulation area and going in and out, then it's very loud. But during the learning, it's pretty good. The measurements of the STI show some different results than experienced, and we think that's because of the fluctuations in the background noise levels. And when measuring the STI, you take a constant background noise level into account. But well, with speech, you have a modulation, and we believe that that influences the STI. So in fact, the STI measurements should be made with a lower background noise level than measured. And there is a certain, we think that it's very valuable to do some more research on the performance and ability to concentrate for the students. Because in a room with a background noise level of 55 dBA, and you need silence, well, there is no silence in this room. And as you can see, there are some typical workstations with protection on it, and the pupils use it when they have to focus on a task. And in the school there's a mindset, having good acoustics is important, and not having it makes it impossible to learn. And that's what the people believe who are working at the werkplaats. Finally, I think that we should be aware of acoustics and adjust to it. And this picture shows everything from this school, the werkplaats. You see a lot of sound absorption in the ceiling and against the walls. And well, these are some typical places. It's more or less a call center station, and you can see the ear protection. And children can sit over there, and there are coat racks over there. So